Hello peeps, we're back at the ambulance and I'm about to give you a rough rundown of the wiring, which isn't going to be easy. As you can see, there's a whole lot of wiring going on. Right, to clarify things to start with, that is what I'll be referring to. This is outside the van, next to the main door. That is what I will be referring to as the Phoenix battery. It is the battery system that runs the Phoenix system, that runs the whole back of the van. Not the front of the van, just the back of the van. Okay, over here, down there is the vehicle starter battery, and in front of that is the vehicle electrics battery. As standard from the factory, the Mark 7 Transit with a heavy duty wiring system or electrical system comes with two batteries. It's got a starting battery, it's got a vehicle battery which does all the electrics, and it's got its own split charge relay fitted. The front battery does the electrics because these vans are very heavy on electrics, and the idea is that if you leave the van for like 3 weeks without it starting, the battery will go dead because there's so many electrics going on in this van. You've got the body control module, which admittedly goes to sleep after a while, but it uses a lot of power. Anyway, you've got two batteries, just like you have in a camper. You've got your starter battery, you've got your camper battery, except it runs the base vehicle. So you've got a split charge relay in there, separating those two batteries. The idea being, if your vehicle battery goes flat, you can still start it in the morning. Right, that is battery isolator number one. Anyway, that's the vehicle battery. Now then, we come to this mess of wiring. This is where you're going to start getting confused. This is where I start getting confused, and I own the damn thing. This cable here comes from the Phoenix battery. It goes up here, it goes round in a loop, it comes back through the exact same Anderson plug, comes down here, down here, down here, where it comes into this connector here. One comes out the end here, runs underneath here, and goes to the isolator solenoid. From the isolator solenoid it goes all the way back out, over there, over there, over there, and it goes to the vehicle starter battery. That is so when you press this emergency parallel switch, you can jump start the vehicle battery using the Phoenix system. There's another wire that comes out of this connector, which goes underneath this metal tray and goes to a battery charger, which is run from one of those two blue plugs you see over there. When I'm on shore power, there's a battery charger under there that charges all three systems. It charges the Phoenix battery down here, it charges the starter battery via that cable. It also charges what is now going to be the leisure batteries, which are on that side of the van and used to be for the tail lift. You following me? Because I'm not sure I am. Also, out of this connector is another wire that branches out and goes into this connector. Now these are not just connectors, they're also 200 amp fuses. If I take the cover off, which I'm not going to be able to because that one's stuck on. If I take the cover off, you will see there's a fuse in there. It's upside down, but it's a 200 amp fuse. It's also, you see them connectors coming off of it. You see you've got one going to the battery, one going to the charger, one going to this top connector which runs over there into that big schmozzle of wiring and is for the inverter, which I haven't got fitted because it was removed before I bought the van, or before the chap before me bought the van. Anyway, there's the inverter wires all nicely taped up, cable tied out the way, trigger wire, label, etc, etc. Then you've got another connector under here which runs to the other isolator relay underneath the passenger seat, and that runs off over to the third battery, which is the leisure battery. So now we've got one battery isolator over here for the vehicle, one battery isolator over here for the vehicle, the Phoenix and the tail lift. Now, because the Phoenix system, and I'll insert a video clip in a minute or right here. Okay, I've just got a little update for anybody who's interested in the Phoenix system. With it just switched on and on standby, you've got 1.1 amps. That's just with the Phoenix system on standby. That's no drain on it whatsoever. If I turn the interior lights on, just one side, shoots up to 5.5 amps. That's mainly because those lights have got an inverter built into them and they're running at, I think the startup voltage is 80 volts and then it stabilises at about 40 volts. Turn them off, 1.13 amps. That is what the Phoenix system draws from your battery on standby. You leave the van parked up for 24 hours, it'll kill the Phoenix batteries. So over there, by the driver's seat, you see that white label, it says battery isolator, off and on. That's fitted, so if the van is ever parked up without being on shore power or without being running, you can isolate the Phoenix system, which eliminates that 1.2 amp draw and stops you killing the Phoenix batteries. Because the Phoenix batteries, although they're big starter batteries, they're only 60 amp hours, and at 1.2 amp draw an hour, 2 batteries, you can only draw half of the rated capacity of a battery, so you've got 60, maybe 50 hours worth of running before they're flat, and then you're starting to damage them. So you've got 2 days backup before you start killing the batteries, which is why you've got that isolator switch. Now, instead of that isolator switch, because I keep forgetting to turn it off and I've already killed 2 batteries, I'm going to fit this, which is a battery isolator. The type of battery isolator you drop on the floor and break when you've just got it out of the box. This is a battery isolator. This is normally used for camper vehicles. When your engine's running, it charges your leisure battery. It's what you'd fit to a normal camper when you're not using a really overly complicated system like this. This is going to be bolted up in place of that battery isolator over there. So when the engine's running, it'll switch on, the Phoenix system becomes live. I haven't got to keep switching a switch on and off. It's the off part I have trouble with. Obviously, if I get in, turn the system on and nothing's working from the Phoenix system, I turn the switch on. It's only literally just behind the driver's seat. I just flick it on, not a problem. The problem I have is keep remembering to turn it off. And as I say, I've already killed 2 batteries that went in there, which is why I've got a leisure battery in there. I had 2 brand new Banner batteries, which I ran down to literally 0.1 volts. And when I tried to charge them, they started swelling up and threatened to blow up, so I gave up. Anyway, so now we've got the original vehicle battery isolator, we've got the Phoenix system isolator under the passenger seat. That's 2 isolators. We've now got another isolator over there for the Phoenix system to isolate it from its own batteries. That's 3 isolators we've got in this vehicle already. And I'm going to add a 4th. The 4th battery isolator is for my leisure battery system, which is a B2B charger, a battery isolator and a solar charger, all combined in one. It's a DCD50S, I think it is. It's a Renogy part. I'm using that because it's programmable for battery chemistry, so if at a later date I want to update my leisure batteries to AGM, I can change the charging profile within that isolator come DC charger, and it will charge at a different rate than what the alternator will provide, because the alternator is just set up to provide a maximum of sort of 14 volts to keep all these sealed lead acid batteries at optimum. AGM, gel batteries, or heaven forbid lithium batteries ever come down in price to somewhere around the £300 a battery mark, I'll invest in 2 lithium batteries. I'd love lithium batteries, they're brilliant, but I can't afford them at the moment. So I'm future-proofing the system by fitting this Renogy battery isolator come DC charger come solar charger, so that in the future I can just press a button on the side of it with a little paper clip and it will charge the new chemistry batteries from the existing system. This means I'll have 4 battery isolators fitted in this van. I've got 3 charging systems, the solar, which goes into the B2B charger and charges the leisure batteries, but when they're full up it'll also back charge the vehicle battery. Now usually it goes to the vehicle starter battery, but because the vehicle starter battery's already got 2 isolators on it, I'm going to put the solar charge controller onto the vehicle battery to keep that charged, because that's the one that when it's parked up gets drained because of all the battery management system, etc, etc. So I'll have 4 battery isolators, a B2B charger, and 3 different ways of charging the batteries. I'll have the alternator via the split charge system underneath the driver's seat, and also via the split charge system underneath the passenger seat. I'll have the solar, which will charge the leisure batteries and the vehicle battery, but only one of the vehicle batteries. And then I'll have the shore power, which runs through that blue wire under there, under the passenger seat, which is crammed full of technology at this point, to a battery optimizer. It's a Merlin Systems battery optimizer. It's a military grade system. It charges the batteries, keeps them optimized. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it, because the only little bit of it you can see is, let's see if I can get this in now, is there. That's the only bit of it you can see without taking the entire passenger seat out and sodding about, unbolting lots of things and scooping wires out of the way. That is a big boy battery charger, a serious bit of kit. It's well over £1,000 when new. Hopefully it works. I know it works because I killed the batteries the other week and I plugged them into, I plugged the shore power in and they were charged back up enough to start the van within, well, I don't know, 20 minutes. That's set up for lead acid batteries. You can change it, you can plug into it via a network cable and a laptop and you can change its charging priorities. I'm not bothered. All these are still lead acid batteries, so it's already set up for those. The only batteries that will be different is the leisure batteries, and if I change them at a later date I can alter their charging profile via the Renogy battery to battery charger. So there you go. That's 4 battery isolators, 3 charging systems, 3 battery systems, and a whole lot of paracetamol I've taken over the past 2 weeks to sort this lot out. Don't get me wrong, I'm a mechanic, but I am not an electrical engineer. I've wired boats from start to finish, totally rewired boats. I've built camper vans, I've done cars, I've been a mechanic for 37 years, etc, etc. But this system has taken me 2 months of looking, tracing, following the wires, buzzing wires out, etc, etc, just to get to the point where I can label the wires, because they're all red, you can't remember what they do. So once you've found what they do, you label them, you leave the labels on there. It's so complicated. I mean, I've got the Phoenix system, that's got over 30 relays in it, so it can operate 30 different circuits, and it only actually operates, I think, 10 circuits at the moment, because I've removed most of them. And then under here, you've got another marine grade fuse box that does things like the map light, the extra cab light there in the roof. These running lights, they all run from that fuse box, not via the Phoenix system. So you've basically got 2 lots of fuses just for the back as well. You've got 2 fuse boxes for the van that it came with originally from the factory, and now 2 fuse boxes, one inside the Phoenix system along with all the relays, and one underneath the passenger seat that runs stuff that doesn't need to go for a relay. Stuff like map lights, running lights, but that fuse box is only live when the engine's running. So we've now got, because I'm going to have a fuse box over on the leisure batteries as well, we're going to have 5 fuse boxes, 4 battery isolators, 3 different charging systems, and as I say, a whole lot of paracetamol. Oh dear, it's taken me 2 months just to sort all this out. It really has. Even though I sort of know what I'm doing. If you're thinking of getting into this, Crifton Campers is perfectly correct. The easiest thing, this is the thing you see, because I've got a bit of knowledge, I know how to sort this out, I know how to figure out what it does and work around it. The easiest thing would be to rip it all out and start again, but then by starting again you're getting yourself a whole extra lot of work. I spent 2 months just looking, and it'll take me a week to rewire it and work around it, not a problem. you would spend probably 2 weeks ripping this all out, and you've got to be really careful. You don't want to rip out the wrong stuff, otherwise you find your van don't start. And then you've got to start from scratch, so it takes quite a lot of knowledge to start from scratch. Possibly less knowledge than it takes to work around what I've got. Perhaps I'm just saying that because that's what I've done and it makes me feel intelligent to have worked around it. I don't know. That's down for you peeps out there to decide. But if you're thinking of getting an ambulance, if you think what I just said was confusing, try figuring it out for yourself without watching what I've just said. With your level of knowledge. If you can do vehicle electrics, if you've wired up campers before, take your time, you'll get your head around it no problem. If you haven't, give Crifton Campers a call, get him to rip your wiring system out, because you could end up in a whole world of pain. Plus, a lot of this stuff's really, really good and you want to reuse it. I mean, that battery charger under there is getting on for £1,000. The immobiliser system that's under there is getting on for £300. Then you're going to take away the Phoenix system and throw that away. It's actually, I mean, it only draws 1 amp. You could put one leisure panel on the roof and cover that 1 amp, no problem. And just run everything via the Phoenix system. I want redundancy. I've got triple redundancy in this van. Quadruple redundancy if you take into account the amount of bloody battery isolators I've got. I've got triple redundancy in this van. I've got 3 electrical systems that all work, that are all independent. And 2 of them can be breached because I can press the emergency parallel button. It makes a click. Hear that? That's a bloody great solenoid. That means I can jump start my own van. So by keeping everything and working the long way round, I've got triple redundancy and I've got bridgeable connections, so I can use everything independently. Anyway, that was that not so brief overview of the Phoenix system, where I've been at for the past 2 months, and why I've been taking a break to do silly things like wiring roof fans. We'll get back to the roof fans later because my battery's going dead. Anyway, peeps, I hope that wasn't too boring. I hope it wasn't too confusing. I have a feeling it was both. But maybe things will get a little less confusing, a little more interesting as time goes on. Yeah, maybe not, because it's me doing the filming. Anyway, peeps, I'll catch you later.